Good evening. How is everyone today? I hope you're all having a really good start to the week. So, I thought I'd come on today and talk about one thing that I'm getting a lot of questions towards, and that is working Games Workshop, but also how the bloody hell do you go about applying, and what should you do, and what should you say, and who should you talk to, and on all this stuff. So, I'm going to give you a complete blow-by-blow account of how I did it, and a complete blow-by-blow account of what I've been told works. I have several testimonies on the channel. Hopefully, if you are watching this video and I've helped you get work at Games Workshop, please put it in the comments down below. It's always nice to hear from people. But the only thing I ask is that if I help you, subscribe to the channel or watch the video or do something, Patreon, whatever. And if you can't do any of that, then at least get in touch with me when you get the job, so I can, share in your success and cheer from the sidelines as you're doing really well, right? So, here we go. How to work for Games Workshop, or how to get the job work in Games Workshop. You may have noticed on my channel that there are other videos to do about the interview and the application process and things like that. Those are back in the day, and people can't find them because no one wants to scroll through 3 years of videos to get to eventually what I'm going to be talking about, right? So, I figured I'd update the video. I'd put all of the information in one place so you can come to this video, and this is Hobby Store Stories, and you can come and see it, and you'll know exactly what you're looking at. And and if anyone asks on the Discord, you can point them towards this video. And if they have done, hello, yes, I'm from the past. Hello. So let's talk about how to apply to Games Workshop. Now, the first thing to do is to get in a sense of your head of what Games Workshop want. Games Workshop. Okay, put it this way: there are two things you're going to need to apply to Games Workshop. Number one is your CV, and number two is a cover letter. Now, for all intents and purposes, you may as well scrumple up that CV and throw it in the bin. They don't care, especially if you're going for a retail entry-level job. They don't care. They do not care what you've done in the past. Even if you apply to be a manager, if you apply to be a manager at Games Workshop, you can apply to be a manager at Games Workshop with no retail experience at all. And they will accept you. They will say, yes, this is the guy we want. Because they don't give a shit what experience you have. Okay? Because, listen, if you've been working in retail for a long time, like 5-6 years, number one, that they'll treat that as a red flag, saying, well, why haven't they been promoted? Why, they'd want to know, or they would ask you at the interview as well. Number two, Games Workshop don't see themselves as a retail outfit. They're not a retail store. Okay? Now, that may seem weird when you walk past them on the high street because they're there and they're selling produce, so surely they're a retail store. No, they're not. And they don't see themselves as a retail store either. They are Games Workshop, and they are, to themselves, they are a thing all to themselves. Okay? They're their own little niche. They're their own little thing, or their own big thing, right? So you working in retail and having retail experience matters not to them. It matters not a jot. They don't care, right? That's not going to get you the job at all. Make sure your CV looks nice, that it reads nice, and that you come across as an affable, nice person. That's it. That is it. Aside from that, you could put whatever. You could put chimney sweeper on there. They don't care, right? Just we're gonna post that over there. That's where that is now. Okay, we're not bothered about that. Number two, right? The covering letter. So when you go onto Games Workshop website and you apply for a retail job as a manager or as a store assistant, you'll be asked to submit a covering letter and a CV. So the covering letter is by far the most important part of your application. In fact, it's the thing that's going to make or break whether or not they want to talk to you in the first place. So, first things first, your covering letter. Let's do the basics first. You need to come across as an open, friendly, high energy person. You need to be high energy because it's a retail job. I know I just said it isn't, but let's be honest. When we take all of the corporate bullshit away, it's a retail job. You'll be doing a lot of manual things. You'll be dealing with a lot of people. You need to say that you don't get, and please bullet point this if you're making notes, right? You need to make sure that you are coming across as high energy, that you can handle people, that you can handle difficult situations such as customer complaints, and that you like to kill complaints with kindness. Remember that phrase. You like to kill complaints with kindness. They will love that language, because every single time I use language like that at Games Workshop, they would fall over themselves like, oh, that's exactly what you should be doing. Brilliant, fantastic, right? Because believe it or not, I've done a lot of training videos on this topic where people are generally quite bitchy, but a lot of people in Games Workshop also are really nice and want you to succeed, right? All right, 1 second. It's tea time. If you know anything about me, take a little break from my tea. Lovely stuff. I've moved on to green tea. It's a thermic food. It burns fat. Anyway, back towards what we were talking about. So, you want to come across as a high energy person, as an affable person, as someone who's happy, go lucky, in your face, hello, I want you to be involved in the hobby. Brilliant, You can handle situations, you can handle complaints, and you kill complaints with kindness. Right? You're there. You want to make sure people are okay, right? You want to be a good ambassador for the hobby. That's what you want to be. Make a note of that too. You want to be a good ambassador for the hobby. That needs to be in your covering letter, right? Those are two things that need to be in there for them to look at your covering letter and go, ooh, this guy's interesting, right? Now, third thing. You need to tell them that you are well aware that Games Workshop is a business and not a youth club, right? You're not going in to run a youth club. You're not going in to even run a hobby store. You're going in to help run a business. You want to use your love for the hobby and your extremely high work ethic and your constant willingness to learn. You want to use those 3 skills. Rewind that if you need to. You need to use those 3 skills to sell the hobby to new customers. Do not bring up old customers. Recruitment, recruitment, recruitment. Say that. Make sure that you always say you want new blood in the hobby, because if there's no new blood in the hobby, then no one's going to be here for you to play with. The hobby's going to die. You want to be an ambassador to the hobby to make sure that it doesn't die and that you're involved on the ground floor pushing the hobby for other people to get involved in, right? So you're going to use all that stuff that we've been talking about to recruit new customers, to recruit new people into the hobby, right? Get them in. That's what you want to do. You want to grow the hobby. You want to grow the business. You want to make sure that your Games Workshop store is doing extremely well. And you're going to use all the skills that we've just talked about to do that, okay? Only after you have said all of those things are you now allowed to talk about your own hobby experience, right? Because Games Workshop don't care. It's like talking to a woman. I know most of the people watch this will be men. So if you're out there, you need to show a woman. If you're out on the pole, whatever, you need to show a woman why they should, waste their time with you, right? If you're out there, and this has been this way for hundreds of years, by the way. So before anyone starts going, yeah, you can't do that, simping for women. No, it's been like that for ages, right? That's what men do. We go out and we talk, and we talk some shit, right? And we try and get a girlfriend or whatever, right? So you need to prove to Games Workshop that you're worth listening to. So your first couple of paragraphs of your covering letter have to be about that, what we were just talking about, right? You're a high energy person, you're really happy-go-lucky, you like to kill complaints with kindness, you're a really driven person, you're always willing to learn. Learning's the thing that you want to do most. You want to learn how to be a good manager. And also, one extra thing I want to put at the end of this, even if you're applying just for a sales assistant role, say that you want to learn not to be a sales assistant, you want to learn to be a manager, because you want your Games Workshop job to be your last job. You want this to be the last company you join. You want to stick around. That'll impress them, right? You don't want to learn to be a sales assistant, right? I want to learn how to be a manager. Yeah, because you do that by being a sales assistant, right? So you do that by, I want someone to take me under their wing so I can learn how to be a good Games Workshop manager, because that's my dream job. Brilliant, right? Right, get rid of all that. That's all done. There's the first 3 paragraphs in your covering letter. I want it like that. Number 2. Now you can talk about your own hobby experience. What got you into the hobby? You know, what are the main memories you have of working at Games Workshop? Of going to Games Workshop. Why do you want to work at Games Workshop? Right? What experience in games? Even if you have to make it up, don't worry. Make something up. Make something up. If you have to go into Games Workshop and say, look, I was in Games Workshop when I was 12. A guy called Paul took me through how to build a Hive Tyrant, and you know, it was one of the most formative experiences of my teenage years. I was really shy, and he really pulled it out of me, and I was doing really well, and then I learned how to make friends at Games Workshop. I want to make sure that experience is being had with other people, right? That's how you do it, right? You go in and you always relate. It's like writing an essay. You always relate what you're saying now to your overall point, and your overall point is why you should be working for Games Workshop, right? All right. And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much your covering letter. A nice, respectable sign off, right? That's pretty much your covering letter. Done. So when I was applying for Games Workshop, now we're going into the hobby stories time before I come back around to what to do with the interview. So when I was applying to Games Workshop, it was mid-2016, and I was just fresh out of university. I'd finished, and I wanted to get into the workforce, and I didn't want to do a normal job, and I wanted to go to America because my girlfriend at the time, I know a theme is developing here, but my girlfriend at the time was in America, and I needed to make money to get over there. And, you know, I didn't want to be the poor person in the relationship. She had a really good job. So I said, I need steady income. You know, I don't need a lot of income. I just need steady income. And if I need steady income, we're just coming out of a recession. If I need steady income, retail is probably the place to go. And if I want to do retail, I want to do Games Workshop. So I applied. And I applied to a store a long way away from my home. I applied to a store in the Midlands. And I did exactly what I've just told you. In fact, I didn't do exactly what I just told you because I didn't know what to do. So I did about 1/4 of what I just told you in my covering letter. And I was invited for a phone interview. What will happen after this is that somebody from recruitment, hopefully it's Nick, because Nick is lovely. Hopefully Nick will call you. And if it's not, then don't worry, because most of them are really nice. So somebody will call you and we'll talk to you about, you know, why you want to work for Games Workshop and what the hell is going on and how you're feeling and how your life's going and all different things. All different things. Always approach that conversation being happy and laughing because you've got nothing to lose. You just have a laugh. Just say, yeah, you know, this is what I want to do, and reiterate what you're talking about in your covering letter. You know, you even say that. Say, look, I said everything I really wanted to say in my covering letter. Because I treated it as a cool experience for me, being able to talk to Games Workshop one-on-one with something that not a lot of people get to do unless you're applying for a job, of course. So I used that. It was somewhat like a thank you letter that I wrote to you as my covering letter. Just like, you know, I really want to help. And if I ever got the chance to work for Games Workshop, the one thing I wanted to take away from that covering letter when somebody read it was that I want it to be my last job. I don't want to do anything else. Like this, it seems like it fits me really well. And say that with a smile on your face, and even make a few quips, make a few jokes, right? At your own expense. The self-deprecating. Now remember, most of the people going to be hiring you are Brits. They're British. So self-deprecating humour they love that shit, right? Because it shows that you're not arrogant, you're not up yourself, you've got a sense of humour, you can take a joke, right? Don't get too far with it, but, you know, definitely throw a little bit in there. That's what I did. And I was then told, yeah, you know, would you be available to come down to the store for an interview? And I said yes. So they gave me a date. It was on a Thursday, and I went down. I got the train down there. Always go to an interview in a suit. If I catch anybody that I've given advice to going to Games Workshop without a suit on, I will find out, right? I'm still in contact with 1 or 2 people in recruitment. If one of them, if you mention me, all right, if you're not wearing a suit, don't mention me because I might find out and I'll be really upset. Always wear a nice suit, and if you're a woman, smart casual, right? Go smart casual, right? With a woman, wearing like a full suit is sometimes like quite intimidating, you know. So I'd casual it up a bit and take the tie off, maybe undo a button and, you know, something like that. But look smart casual. But for a man, suit and tie, suit and booted, get yourself down there. Make yourself look like you're treating them with respect. Yeah? Right? They want to know that you're a big boy or girl and you can handle going in for an interview. If you go in there with a Games Workshop t-shirt on and a pair of jeans, you're not getting the job. You're not getting the job. I don't care how good you are, right? You know, make sure you're clean shaven, or that if you've got a beard, it's nicely kept. Make sure that you put on some nice deodorant and aftershave, not too much. You have a nice haircut, you're washed, you're dressed, you're ready to go. You have your suit on, you go down there, freshly pressed suit on, get down there, right? And make sure that when you go into that interview, here we go, here's what I did. So I walked in, and my manager, who was interviewing me, I was interviewed by a manager and somebody from recruitment. It wasn't Nick, unfortunately. Oh, actually, hang on. Yeah, it was Nick and somebody and a lady. The lady was a bit more icy, so I think it was good cop and bad cop. But anyway, so I was interviewed by my manager, by Nick, and by a young lady who was a bit icy. And my manager was known as being, shall we say, hard man to please. And he sat back with his arms folded and looked down his nose at me the entire time. A warning sign, I know. I should have just got up and walked, but like I wanted the job so much, and I thought maybe this guy's just testing me out, seeing what I've got, you know. Fine, whatever. So they asked me questions about why I wanted to apply for Games Workshop, and generally, what I've told you to do in the covering letter is how you should talk in the interview, right? So let them know. This store is a business. I want to help grow it. I want to learn how to grow my own business because one day I want to be a Games Workshop manager. I want to grow the hobby. I want to make sure that our hobby isn't shrinking and going away, right? I want to make sure that we still have it and that we're still a pliant, malleable business going forward. Because, you know, I always use the word we. Don't use you, right? Use we. Don't say, you make the best models in the world. No, say, we make the best models in the world. Get it into their heads that you already work for them. That you're interviewing them. Right? That's what I said. So look, we make the best models in the world. If we go away, who else is going to do it? What, War Machine? No, of course not, right? Malifaux? No. No one's going to make models that we do. If we go away, that's it. And I have that honest opinion as well. That's truth, and that's what I think. If Games Workshop goes away, what else do you have, right? I know people will go on about other games. No, I'm sorry. There's a reason why it's so popular. And this is why I sort of like shake my head at people who sneer at D&D. It's like, no, mate, there's a reason why it's so popular. Or people who shake their head at, you know, Magic the Gathering even. I do it. I catch myself doing it. There's a reason why it's popular, though. Because it's a really good game and they're the best at it. And that came across in my interview. I was like, no. If Games Workshop goes away, the hobby dies. It's gone. Right? Because by hook or by crook, so much is caught up in Games Workshop now that if Games Workshop sinks, everything else is going with it. I love this hobby. I love the people in it. And I want more people to experience it in the way that I have. I've been so lucky to experience it in the way that I have. And so now it's time for me to pass that along and to be a custodian of the hobby for other people. To make sure that we're recruiting more customers and more people who are going to be enthused by our worlds that we make and the wonderful imaginative art that we bring out. Like, it's so important to me that I make sure that I'm a part of that and I pay this back. If you go in there saying stuff like that and you couple that with the fact that you know that it's a business and you want to grow the business, no manager in the world is going to say, I don't want this guy. No one. Right? No Games Workshop manager's going to go, nah. Unless you go in there fidgeting and being nervous and reading like you're talking from a script, then yeah, they'll probably be like, you know, this guy's saying this, but does he mean it? Mean it is what I mean. Don't go in there trying to pull the wool over their eyes. Right? If you feel the same way as me about the hobby, then you're the person who should be applying to Games Workshop. All you need to do is be honest. But you need to make sure that you're hitting those points when you're being honest. That's all. Right? If you feel that you need to bullshit to get this job, in terms of like that you want to grow the hobby, don't apply because they will sniff you out. They'll either sniff you out or they'll do it within the first couple of weeks, right? You've got to want to grow the hobby. You've got to want to grow the business. You've got to want Games Workshop to succeed. You've got to want to be at the ground floor. And I used one thing, and I don't suggest you use this because it got a laugh out of Nick, and I think that's what got me the job, right? I said, it's better to be inside the castle pissing out or bailing out piss than it is to be outside the castle pissing in. That's why I want this job, right? That was my closing statement. And, you know, Nick laughed, the manager chuckled, and the woman just looked at me like I was a piece of filth, to be honest with you. But, like, you know, I honestly think that's what got me the job. Don't say that, because you never know. It might. That was a gamble by me, because I thought it was going really well. But I thought, I do live in Liverpool. I do live far away from this store, so I need to convince them. So I went all whole hog, and I went for it, and it went well. It was a gamble, but it paid off. If you're going for an entry-level job, you know, it may seem harsh. You're only going for an entry-level job, but treat it like it's the biggest job you've ever had in your life. Because it might be. Because if you're good working at Games Workshop, they are going to hold on to you with two bloody hands. They're never going to let you go. And they're always going to want to pay you more. They're always going to want to keep you around. Right? If you want to work within the hobby for the rest of your life and make sure that we have a hobby, this is the job for you. And I really hope you do well and you get it. But that is how you apply to Games Workshop. That is how I got my job. In my interview for being a manager, now, what Games Workshop will do when you want to become a manager, you will not apply for a manager's position like normal. You will see a manager's job online or whatever. So you will apply for it, right? You know, as you do. But what I mean by it's not normal is that they will call you and they will say, look, you need to come down to Nottingham for an interview. Your sales assistant job will be interviewed mostly at the store. If you're lucky, you might be going to Warhammer World, but mostly at the store. If you interview for a manager's job, it will be at the HQ. It will be at Lenton, Nottingham. Do not be overawed. Do not worry. Right? Everybody at Lenton is lovely. Everyone that you'll meet, anyway, they're lovely. They're really, really nice. So, when you're at that job interview, you need to say, do you know what? I'm going to do another video on the manager's one. I'm going to do, because I'll be here all night. So I'm going to do another video on how to become a manager, but that is how to get your foot in the door of Games Workshop. That is how to get your foot in the door of Games Workshop. As a sales assistant, one thing I will say about being a manager, you will be in what's called the manager pipeline. If you apply to be a manager, that means they have you on the back burner as somebody who is definitely could be trained to be a manager at Games Workshop. And when a vacancy comes up, they will come and get you and say, "Look, are you ready? Ready to be a manager? Okay, let's go. Time to train." Right? And that's what they will do. So I will go on. My next video will be probably if I get a lot of responses asking for it, I will do a manager's video on how to apply and become a manager. But for now, if you want to get your foot in the door at Games Workshop, this is the way to do it. Alright, I hope that answered all your questions. There was some hobby story in there too. Love you all. If you like what I do, you know, follow, like, subscribe, all that nonsense. And, you know, give to the Patreon if you want to. I have a rule with Patreon, right? If you can't afford it 10 times, don't give it to me, right? So, say if you got, like, if you can afford to give me 20 quid, give me 2. That's my rule. I don't want any more than that. Only give what you can afford. Only ever give what you can afford. Seriously, I'm not worth it. So just do what you want. I love you all. Have a really good day. Have a good week. I'll speak to you probably on Wednesday. See you then. Have a good one.